everybody. Welcome back to Linux Weekly, daily Wednesdays where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux and open source. I'm Vince Stone, joined every week by Joe Bryant, and running around, having a bunch of fun in the pre-show. Check us out live if you get a chance. If not, that's cool. Like, I'm not your boss, but it's a fun time. Or go back and listen to it. We put it up for our patrons. But like even like one of the first things I said when I called up Joe, I'm like, I've lost my Logitech receiver. This is bugging me. This is bugging me right now.
Yeah.
To that keyboard, right? The one we all have. Because I don't know where it's at. I don't know where it's at. And it's somewhere in the studio, and I know me. I'm old enough to where I know my patterns. I'm going to tear the studio apart looking for this little $12 dongle. I've already been on Amazon. We've already found out that you can like buy the bag full, because that makes sense. Jill's like, unified receiver. And I'm like, yeah, I probably should just get like 20 of them. They're only like $12 a piece. So after I've, spent enough like man hours like doing that and like wasting my time in here, I'll probably be on Amazon later this evening, admitting defeat. It's somewhere in here though, and that's driving me crazy. I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be that thing that you found. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
5 or 6 years later, you're looking in a cupboard somewhere under a bowl, and you're like, "That's where this was."
The dongle
6 years ago. Like what? That would have been handy, and everybody has that feeling. You've experienced like that would have been real useful like 6 years ago when I've been, dude. Anyway, been playing around with that. Did a lot of filming in here Monday, working on that Magewell funky little capture card. Got some other stuff lined up for interfacing Linux. After that, bunch of entertaining stuff just coming down the pipeline. So if you want to go check that madness out, interfacinglinux.com, get a YouTube channel with a bunch of hopefully handy tips, mildly entertaining content for my fellow brothers and sisters that are a little bit creative, but hey, we run Linux as an operating system. We want to know how to do stuff. Joe Bryant.
Yeah.
You got wheels. You got more wheels. Additional wheels.
I sure do. I have lots of things going on.
Can we call them high wheels?
Yeah. So my chair here in my studio is higher now and rolls a lot easier on my carpet due to my new 3-inch rollerblade wheels that replaced the original wheels the chair came with. Me and my hubby installed the new wheels recently, and Ven also has them on his chair. And these ones are a pretty blue color, and I didn't know till last night that they glow in the dark. They have a glow in the dark wheels.
I got a problem with that.
But I love them. That they have helped tremendously, Vin, because they don't roll too quickly on the carpet. They roll just enough that it's a lot easier to move the chair around.
Glow in the dark stuff bugs me if I don't know it's glow in the dark, because my brain immediately went to situations to where I left a room and I come back and I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, that happened to me. But I like glow in the dark, and it was okay.
All right.
And but the nice thing is it puts me up much higher. So I have better headspace with my camera, and I don't have to sit on a pillow on my chair. And these wheels put me up so high that I can sit in a chair without touching my feet on the floor. So right now I am touching my feet on the floor, but I can go up a couple inches.
You floor toucher.
Yeah, I have to touch the floor because
I'm too cool to touch the floor when I'm doing a show.
Yeah. The floor is lava, right, Ben?
Man, like I can get in that narrow little bit of where I'm not touching the floor, but my knees are not smacking into the desk. I get to be very still.
Yeah.
But I too can achieve like floaty foot. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. What else you got going on?
Yeah, so I just have so much. I actually had a wonderful Linux Chicks LA meetup Sunday where I gave Sharon and Betty, my co-coordinators, several gaming computer monitors to upgrade their existing setup. So they were very excited about that. And Sharon gifted me this pink t-shirt with a cute penguin eating ramen. It's so cute. And
looks like a Pokemon.
Yeah. And then we had delicious ramen at our favorite ramen house here in the South Bay, and the manager of the store loved it. She's like, that is so cute. And Sharon and Betty gave my husband Steve some great gifts because his birthday was Monday. Happy birthday to my husband Steve.
Shout out to everybody in Discord dropping Steve happy birthdays, making him feel old.
That was awesome.
Reminding you.
And this weekend we're getting together with the family, and I'm going to give him the rest of my gifts this weekend for him.
She's been holding out on you, man.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and hop into it. Something we covered back in 2019, Jill. Not this, but like the general idea of it.
Yeah, we sure did. So the open source and 3D printable mice and trackballs from Ploopy that we have talked about in the past has released a new version of their classic Ploopy trackball called the Classic 2 Ploopy trackball. I love the name. Ploopy.
Is it? Okay, see, this is debate. Like even with the show title, I'm like, do we go with Classic Ploop or Ploop Classic?
Ploop Classic.
I like Ploop Classic, right?
Yeah.
And
I like Ploop
that. That leaves room for like new Ploop.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Classic 2 Ploopy trackball has the same design and ergonomics as the Classic Ploopy trackball, but with better scrolling. Ploopy states, the good news is that we put a new microcontroller in the Classic 2, the Raspberry RP-2040. This new microcontroller runs the scroll wheel algorithms 15 times faster than the one in the original Classic. The result is a crisp, accurate scrolling without any spinouts or unexpected reversals. So improving the performance of the Classic Ploopy. And the Classic 2 Ploopy is more easily 3D printable than the original thanks to the removal of some awkward overhangs and support material requirements. The original Classic had a USB-B connector on it, but the Classic 2 has a USB-C connector, which we are all happy about.
All right, help me out. Does this thing just attract cats? This is like the second cat picture next to this. Like, do I need to worry? Am I going to print one of these out and end up with a cat? Is that what we're trying to say?
Yeah. Well, actually, then that looks like my kitty cat, my black short-haired kitty cat named Frodo. And I was so happy that they used a kitty cat.
You say that, and I'm looking at it, and I was like, that looks like there's cat hair on the trackball, man. Come on.
It probably does. It probably does. Which is one of the reasons why my kitty cat is not allowed in my computer studio.
Now, for audio listeners, can I get to it? Can I get to this? Can I open this image in a new tab? Why? Because we're looking at that cat hair right there. Right there. Right. Hang on.
Zoom in and
there it is.
Cat hair on
Look at
Ploopy.
that cat hair.
Yes. Well, another thing really cool about the new Classic 2 Ploopy trackball that I thought was really cool is the Ploopy product page states, the Classic 2 trackball ships with QMK firmware preloaded and VIA compatibility. That means you can customize every button on your Classic 2 using an online web app, and the changes persist to the Classic for ultimate portability. That's really sweet. Wow, making it so so you can customize it even when you're not at home. So that's awesome. And as with every Ploopy product, they have released the manual to build a kit, repair it, mod it, or even make one for yourself. And the Classic 2 Ploopy trackball is $149.99 Canadian for the build it yourself full kit, or $209.99 Canadian fully assembled, and is ready to pre-order. So we were just, Ven put this in the show notes because he had found it, and I'm just really happy they're continuing to make great products and improve on existing ones. This is wonderful.
I like the idea. This is all just a conspiracy to get me to get a modern 3D printer, and I say nay. I will not be tempted. Back to the pits with yeah, 209 fully assembled, bit rich, but 144 for a kit. This is definitely probably something. What I would like to see, I'm like looking at the kit, I would like a step between the full kit and the maintenance kit, because all I want is like the PCBs, PCBs and maybe the ball. Like that's it. I want to be able to print everything else at home. What I don't want to have to do is like, send off some, designs to get those actual boards printed. I don't want to go through that rigmarole and like, hopefully everything's right. So yeah, you could like have that for, I don't know, like $99 or something like that. Like, then I might be interested.
And someone else could, print out their boards. They want to.
Yeah. I do everything. It's like the only thing like listen, as somebody who used to develop and etch their own boards, man, I won't do that. I give that to somebody else. And I've had enough boards come back, like if you're just getting one board, that can get expensive if it's even done right. Until then, I will continue using my Elcom huge trackball. Why? Because it actually fits my clown hands. It's dope.
It has huge hands.
Yeah.
The Ploopy, though, you can enlarge it and then print out a bigger version.
Yeah, but I'd be getting crazy with that, dude. It would look, see, this is why I don't need it, because exactly what Jill said, I'd be like, I bet I could make this comically large, couldn't I? And I'm like, no, then it wouldn't be usable. Also, it's not wireless. We need to point that out. I don't think. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
no battery in it.
There's no, it doesn't show battery, so
you know what?
I think you're right.
Maybe it just runs on like angst. Who knows? Yeah. Yeah, I gotta have wireless. I am spoiled by that. Like wireless keyboard, wireless, which is weird. But yeah, I've gone wireless with the controllers and everything. So yeah, there you go. There'll be a link to this in the show notes. If you're sitting around and you're like, you know what I want to do this weekend? Print out a trackball. But I love keeping track of it because all the way back in like 2019, this dude started out with us and he's like, I want to make one that's really good and it's usable. Yes. It's not like, hey, look, I printed. Like the kid shows up and like, I made you something, Papa, Mama, and, it's like all diseased looking like, oh, that's sweet, but like this is something you can legitimately get some use out of. Yeah, there we go. Ploop 2 onto APT 3. See, we're doing numbers in the correct order this week.
Oh, yeah, we are. So, yes, we are. So in October of last year, with the release of Ubuntu 24.10 Oracular Oreo, Ubuntu included a new command line interface for the APT Package Manager, or APT 3.0.
That's adorable. How about Debian where it started, where I had it way longer?
I know. Well, when I tested APT 3.0 out in the Ubuntu 24.10 interim release, I found its user interface much more visually appealing, and it makes use of columns and colors to present information more clear and cleaner, like what Ven is showing on the screen right now from one of the articles.
It's got RGB, everybody.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, the APT 3.0 package manager has just been accepted into Debian's unstable branch and should be entering testing soon. And it will be the default apt command line interface for the upcoming Debian GNU Linux 13 Trixie, which is due out in June or July of this year, as well as for Ubuntu 25.04 coming out later this month. And some of the great new features of APT 3.0 is that the UI is, again, so much prettier and easier to read. There are color-coded outputs for installing, removing, or upgrading packages.
Let's be real. The only time you read apt output is when you break something. You're like, oh, I'm going to install all these packages. I'm going to upgrade these packages. I'm going to. You're like, oh, yes, okay, whatever. Then it's like, oh, wait, my system doesn't work. What did I do?
What did you do? Well, now when you install a new package, all its dependencies are shown in a green color. And when you remove a package, all its dependencies to be removed are shown in a red color. Also, the column padding makes it much more readable. And there is a new progress bar at the bottom, which is really nice. Yeah. It kind of reminded me of the progress bar that's in the original installer for Debian. So the original, yeah.
I think like the first time, because I've been tracking on a couple of machines in here, because like we're getting to that freeze with the Debian, moving to Debian 13. And I've been testing Trixie. And I remember it had been a couple of months about this, and I remember the thing scooting across the bottom of the terminal, like, what are you? Like,
yeah.
Oh, wait. What did you do to apt? I'm like, all right. And for the old heads out there, you're like, I don't like change. And like, You get used to it. It's no big deal. You can.
It's really nice.
Yeah, you can Y your way through it, and you're like, whatever.
Yeah. And APT 3.0 includes a new, more efficient package dependency resolver called Solver 3, which improves handling of complex package conflicts and dependency resolution, which is always a good thing. And it replaces GNU TLS, gcrypt, and GNU PG with OpenSSL and Sequoia for better cryptographic support and more modern configuration files. So that's a big new change. Also, it includes translation updates and improved documentation in multiple languages, which is always wonderful. And there are actually so many more enhancements to my favorite package manager. So check out our LWDW show notes for all the links.
Well, we were talking about APT. I mean, I thought, everybody, DNF was everybody's, or Pac-Man.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because APT 3.0 looks a lot more now like DNF. They made it very clean looking like DNF, which is something I really appreciate about DNF. Very clean and easy to read and understand. So APT is similar to that. You know what this reminds me of, Ven? It's kind of like when Debian went from apt to aptitude. Remember that?
Well, aptitude's a different program. Aptitude is a script thing that you can run if you're extraordinarily brave.
Yeah. Yes. But you could always use, either or. And it was, they made some nice enhancements with aptitude to make it a little more
your default on Debian is
readable.
going to be apt. Why? Because aptitude's something you break out when you want to do something wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? Like, apt's going to get in your way and it's like, nope, the situation is unresolvable. I am sane. I'm not going to let you do it. Aptitude's like your crazy uncle.
Yeah.
It just peeks around the corner. Is like, you want to try it anyway? And I'm like, sure. And it'll see if it can solve it for you. And sometimes it works. Sometimes like, oh
yeah. Sometimes it works, or sometimes you would still have to go back to depackage or whatever.
And I finally gotten to the point to where I type in apt instead of apt-get.
Yeah, same here.
I've gotten good at that. It took
me a while.
I've got the muscle memory trained in me to type in IPA instead of ifconf.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of commands have changed over these years,
Yeah, they sure have.
Yeah, apt, it's coming. So when you light up like whatever version of Ubuntu you might be running, or you might be, one of the cool kids running Debian, like old man Vin, and like, yeah, it's there. I've not had any problems with it. I mean, it's one of those things where like, it looks different, works the same. Cool, whatever. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Stay tuned. And yeah, Debian 13 is on the way. It's that wonderful moment of like when Debian 13 comes out and it's like, it's just as current as everything else. Then you get the multi-year slog of like, as it gets further and further and further away. I'm eventually probably going to end up running like Rocky Linux in here at some point. Once I'm just going to lock everything down and not upgrade it for 8 years at a time. I'm like, it works. I don't need the latest and greatest, which is weird because I like playing with the new stuff. Even like this ARM machine I got chill on right now. I'm like, this is not getting updated. This is static. Nothing's happening to it. I don't want to run that. Now, speaking of ARM stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Here we go. This is a great idea. This next story is going to be coming from Hackaday because, there's this company called Citronics, and they just had a really neat idea of like, that's a really neat idea is all I had to say about when I saw it. Let me show you an image if you're watching the video. Turning your own mobile devices into single board computers. A breakout board for your old phones. And I'm here for this. They're getting ready to launch a dev kit. Now, the dev kit's only going to work, naturally with like one thing, like, hey, we want to test this out, the Fairphone 2. And you're going to be able to drop this critter in, and it's going to give you stuff that you might not expect, like USB, Ethernet, and some Raspberry Pi like headers, and it's going to be running Linux, which is another neat thing. And just like looking at the kit, unfortunately, it doesn't make use of your existing screen. I was kind of hoping, I'm like, oh, can I put this in a case and just have a touch screen on top of everything? Like, nah, that'd be too cool. We couldn't do that. Oh, yeah. I wanted to give them a little mention for this. They're going to be doing pre-orders, 150 euros for this. And you know me, man, like this is like one of the reasons I was so big, and I'm still such a big proponent of like Linux and like Firewire audio, because I don't want this stuff ending up in landfills, and anything I can be like, hey, here's a really cool project. And you got to think, like, your old mobile device is a very, very powerful piece of hardware. It just is. You can do a lot of stuff to it. And if you can drop it into a pie-shaped format and just get, expose actual I/O and get some regular Linux on it, you can probably get up to stuff. I'm kind of surprised nobody's come up with this idea, but
Same here.
I get it, because that having a different breakout board for all the phones, and then you got the problem of not everybody has a spudger collection, like getting into a lot of these modern devices can be a pain, and then things could get broke. And so there's definitely some risk in there, but man, like, I like this. I like this idea. I want something for, a couple of devices. And by that, I mean, you need to make them for Samsung tablets. Just no reason, but maybe I got a bunch of Samsung tablets. Yeah, we're just waiting on it. And they're like, hey, you can scale these and like drop different stuff in them. And like, yeah, I carry your board for the guts inside of your mobile phone. Like, yes, let's do this. Let's do this. I want this to succeed.
Yeah, me too. It's such a great idea. We're using discarded mobile technology that would surely be sent to the landfill. We do this with old unwanted home computer systems already and use Linux to upcycle them. Why not mobile devices?
I was thinking about this. I'm like, nobody ever really throws away their own mobile phone. Here's what you do with them. Go visit your old mobile phone. It's in that drawer you put it in, and it's probably turned into a spicy pillow with a screen poofing out of it a little bit. You were like, yeah, I remember. We had good times.
Yeah, batteries. Batteries go bad, and they poof.
In the closet and the storage room for the studio, on the top shelf, I just have a stack of tablets like that because I'm not dumping them, and I don't feel like tearing them apart and pulling the battery out so I can recycle them.
Yeah,
but all of them are still powerful enough to do stuff around the house. And yeah, you can. Yeah, fanless like Redsky, fanless built-in UPS, hopefully a screen. I'm here for it. You got to keep it around. And, even my Amazon tablet, I say that right now because the Amazon tablet, which I've been meaning to replace the battery in for almost a year now, is sitting on top of the, I think, dryer or washer that I put it. I put it on top of something metal, just as like, if you light up, I don't want you to burn down the house. And yeah, so like having something, just being able to keep using these, this is cool. I hope them all the best. Citronics.eu. You can pre-order right now if you want to get in, and they're like clear about this. Like, these are dev kits, so if you got the chops to go play with it, do it. I dare you. Yeah. No US version yet, Jill?
Of the
hang on, that's the next story.
Yeah, that's for the next story. Yeah.
Spoilers. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a little sip of some liquid right now. My throat's like, you've talked too long.
Aw. Well, we're going to be talking about something cool that the Raspberry Pi company and CEO Eben Upton has a new device.
Eben.
Yes.
45 watt USB-C. I told you I had something very exciting to tell you about at the end that was Raspberry Pi related. And finally, another accessory from the Raspberry Pi Corporation. A 45 watt USB-C power brick might not seem exciting, but it's right up there with the Raspberry Pi branded SD cards, and it makes a ton of sense. And it does. Once you start getting into higher power single board computers, something that I've gotten into this year with interfacing Linux, you find out real quick, man, that $5 brick, the power USB-C brick you got on Amazon, it can't really do 45 watts. No, it can't. And that's quite unfortunate. Ask me how I know. So if you buy one, traditionally, guess what? CanaKit.
Yeah.
Why? Why do I buy CanaKit stuff? Because it's a name you can trust. If it says 45 watts on it, if it's it's USB-C PD, if it says 65 watts on it, it's really going to be that. And that's crazy important. And it's real tempting to, get the $5 one, the $8 one. You're like, oh, power, button is button, power brick. Not the case with these things. whatsoever. So this is going to be $15 too, which is good. Both of them are going to be $15.
Yay.
And like I said about the SD cards, is it silly for Raspberry Pi to like, hey, we have, and I'm like, it's not silly if they can verify that, SD card is real. It's got its rated speed, and, it's got more wear cycles than, I don't know, ramen noodles. So,
Yes.
and it's got a 1.5 meter lead on it. Cord. It's a long boy. A long boy.
Yeah.
Which is also good, because I've definitely bought some of these and I'm like, okay, let me stretch that out very shortly. Then I go find a USB-C extension cable and plug it in, which is probably not a good idea. Mm-hmm. I'm here for it, but what was I saying on the wrong story a minute ago, though, about availability?
Yeah. So it looks like the US version is not available to purchase yet, but I will be patient. So, and what I wanted to say about it was I think this is so awesome. Even Upton, I just found my new power supply for not only powering all my Raspberry Pi devices, but a new 45-watt charger for my Steam Deck at a great price that'll work beautifully. Because that was an issue. There's been a lot of bad Steam Deck power supplies out there.
It's like all these chargers, man. When I buy a Raspberry Pi, I buy it from CanaKit. Is CanaKit the cheapest? No, but you know what they sell? They sell everything that's been tested to verify it, and like there's a value to that.
Yeah.
And I got a couple of these CanaKit. Here's your free plug CanaKit chargers. Like if you need one right now and you need a 45-watt charger, chances are for a lot of the stuff, if you got a Raspberry Pi 5, you need to really start paying attention to power delivery. Not like, the 4 you kind of did. That's when it showed up. The Raspberry Pi, the Pi 3 stuff, you could run that off hopes and dreams, man. Like anything you plugged into it had enough juice to power it. But like these larger SBC, these 8-core chonkers like the rock chips and things like that, they will actually legitimately like, you crank them up and they're like, beep, like what happened? I'm like, you ran out of power.
No.
Like, oh, okay. Oh. Good to see. What do you think they're going to make next, Jill? What's going to be the next electronic device from Raspberry Pi with a Raspberry on it? That would be kind of silly, but also makes sense.
Well, I know even Upton actually was talking about how the USB hub, a lot of people are buying, like they go to Micro Center and go to the Raspberry Pi area and buy the USB hub from Raspberry Pi because they know it's going to work and it's better than the ones in the rest of the store. So maybe, yeah, that's a really, really good question. How about a tablet?
Yeah. I'm trying to think too, man. I'm like, maybe.
Why not?
Yeah, like, why not, right?
Yeah, because they make the monitor, maybe offer a bigger monitor as well.
Let's see, we got the hat power supply. They got HDMI cables. Like, okay, well, that's micro HDMI. Okay, I was about to say HDMI cable is HDMI cable. It doesn't matter how much oxygen, free smoke, and mirrors are in the inside. It's a standard. It's going to work. Adapters, cables, like USB cables, like SSDs are I'm kind of shaky on because like you don't see too many counterfeit SSDs, but the SD cards I completely get. Clock batteries. Yeah. The mouse, I don't know.
I mean, they have just about everything. They got the keyboard, and my mouse is awesome. I love it. In fact, I have 2 sets of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love their keyboard and mouse. I'm using it actually in my where I do my show notes. Let's see.
Well, like, we talked about the PoE injectors, and like that makes sense. Like, there's an underserved market, which has really come up and probably like, I mean, it's always been there, it's not like something I discovered, but like in the, not like the last 5 years, man, and I've talked about this on the show, like if you shop on Amazon, even if you shop on like online retailers, even places like you'd go to like a Walmart online store, most of that stuff is sold by third parties. It's not directly coming from, and like it used to be, you go to Amazon to like, hey, I need to get something like that's not going to blow up. And like, you can't make that bet these days. So like there's a need for this type of, growth industry of like, hey, here's stuff that actually does what it says.
Yeah.
Which is like very weird. I don't like having to play electronic hardware detective when I'm buying stuff, but you got to do that. You got to do that due diligence these days to make sure. And, one of the reasons I still keep my Amazon Prime is because if I do get something that's a little funky, I'm like, hey, this is a little funky.
Easy
like,
to return.
Keep it. Yeah. Like, we'll just send you another one. I'm like, all right. I mean, that's wasteful, but yeah, there you go. Hopefully these will be showing up everywhere Raspberry Pis may be.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
Awesome.
All right. We did pretty good here. Let me confuse people in case I have to do any editing. About 31 minutes. I love saying that because they're like, wait a minute, it's not 31 minutes. Always confuses them. Hey, we're going to get out of here. Before we do that, I want you to head over to linuxgamecast.com. We do a couple of different things. We did a great show last week about, the Switch 2 came out. NVIDIA powered. It's kind of expensive. And we're like, you know what? It might be the best time in the world to pick up a Steam Deck. But then again, maybe we're not going to be able to sell the Switch 2 diehards, but we'd take a shot at it, especially with those $80 games. Go give that a listen. Watch it over on YouTube. This is also where you can find this show, this podcast, labeled under the podcast button. Look at that. And you scroll down like, look, there's our show. I still need to update the art. I'm getting around to it. Listen, I'm doing the best I can. And of course, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Linux Gamecast, where you can get the live and uncut version of the show. You get a downloadable video. Well, you can make it downloadable. I upload a higher quality video, audio directly to Patreon. They host it on their CD, and you can yoink it if you don't want to deal with like YouTube or anything like that, or the commercials. Just for you lot. And yeah, it's pretty neat. Come hop in our Discord. You can do that if you don't know that. If you're a Twitch sub, YouTube sub, or patron, link it up to our super secret Discord. Come say hi. We're like, hello. And we'll say hello back. It's great. It's wonderful. We're there the other 6 days of the week. Hop in for game streams. You can get access to our show notes. We got a bunch of different things on top of that. And of course, we got wish lists. You want to pick us up something? That'd be neat. You're like, hey, look, a thing arrived. And you know what, Jill?
Yeah.
A thing did. I did. Woo-hoo! I got a thing.
Yay.
I got a thing. I want to thank DX Ghost Talk for becoming a patron as well. Thank you so much. Dope. You get your name in the credits when I redo the credits, probably next week. Yeah. But I want to give you a shout out. Yeah, I talked about it on Saturday. I was coming home from the studio and I pulled into my driveway and there's like this big ginormous box out front, right? And I'm like, I do the mental calculations because there's always like, I've ordered something, right? A thing. Or, things have changed. Like the dynamics have changed since I started doing Interfacing Linux because I've given just a green light to a bunch of these companies to just send me stuff. I'm like, you don't need to send me an email. We don't need to have a conversation and hug it out. Every time you release a new product, just ship it to me. If I can find something to do with it, I will. I didn't think they were going to take that up. All of them did. So I'm constantly getting stuff. And I'm like, what could it possibly be? And I get it. It's big and heavy. It's not labeled. I'm like, and, me and Jordan were talking about this on Saturday. We're like, you're going through, like, was it something on the wish list? And it was. It was.
Yes.
Actually, a very important. Cool. It's in here in the studio with me right now. What is it? What am I excited about? Let me tell you. It's a chair.
But it's not just any chair. It's a 60s modern folding chair.
Well, I wouldn't call it a 60s modern.
It's kind of like 60s modern.
All right. Listen, I'm not going to fight you over it. Chair is chair to me. But this is like part of my hack of, because I just had a chair in here, like shelf space is the only reason I had it. It's like elevated shelf space. And I put it over in the corner in the studio done. And I saw that and I'm like, I wonder, can that also be chair? Because how many times have you heard me like, I'm benchmarking stuff, doing stuff, and I'm like, I got stuff on the floor. I hate having projects on the floor, right?
Yeah.
It's just asking for it, man. So my hack was like, that can just be a regular chair. Unless I'm working on some projects and I can go, boom.
Yeah, you can fold it open.
And then I got a little shelf. Nice. Well, it's not even little. It's a pretty long shelf. Go to get some use out of it. Thank you so much, DX Ghost Hawk. That was very much
awesome.
appreciated. And it will be used and used and used. It will probably never be set on, but it will live its life. Its wonderful cherry life as a shelf in the studio that also looks like a chair. I can't put I wanted to put, because I got 1, 2, do I have 3 now? No, I got 2 and I got a little table. I call them like YouTuber shelves. You see them like, they got Steve G and Gamers Nexus. Those, the ones you get on Amazon. And I can't put where I have a big spot for a shelf. Why? Because I got a camera on that wall.
Yeah.
I mean, the camera you guys are seeing from at home is on the other side of the studio, zoomed in, and I can't put a shelf up unless you guys like want to see product like right in front of them, like advertising space here. Provide a little hole for it. All right. Thank you so much for that. I greatly appreciate it. And it will be used to produce, hopefully, content that you enjoy. All
Yay.
Right. There we go.
DX Ghost Hawk.
Yeah. Now, let's thank all the beautiful patrons that make this show.
Yeah.
Quite possible.
We got lots of beautiful patrons to thank, including our advisor, Artherin, and our executive producers, Kara Ducky, Drummer 7, The Targos, Barbrandt, Scott, Atomic, our Chicago Kicks Mules level, Glorious Egg Roll, Basil, Empty, Casiclism, our Sea Monsters, DSNG Joe 2, John, Dirty Dean, our Death Notes, Martin, Renee, Leonardo, Dodger, Kim, Chris, and our chairlings. There's lots of them, including S. Michelleism.
There we go. You got one.
Linux Chicks LA. Linux Chicks LA. Aww.
Look at all those lovely chairs that I put in myself. I give it 5 chairs.
Did.
There we go.
Aw, and we got community tea time in the house, and a Busy Bee, and Mere PPC. All our wonderful viewers and patrons in the house.
Michelle's got some weird fascination with houses, but hey, you do it. All right, beautiful people. Have a great rest of your week. Get out there, have some fun, get up to something, keep on learning, keep on rocking on, and I'll see you next week. All right.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Love you all.